All right, guys. Another good padded practice out here today. Look, I think our guys are out here, getting a lot of good work done. Certainly not perfect, but yet I think we're getting better as a football team. Working today again with some red zone offense, red zone defense, and so you work some first and second down, run, pass, out in the field to play, and then all of a sudden you get down there and you start working some third down, you start working red zone, all the situational stuff that really makes a huge difference in winning and losing games. So it's been good work so far.
Dennis, what do you thought of how Alvin's looked in this?
I think he's looked good. I think he's practicing really well. I think he's highly engaged in what we're doing. I think our guys are utilizing him in a lot of different ways. He's lined up in a lot of different spots. We've motioned him, giving him the ball out of the backfield, throwing the ball to him out of the backfield, lined him up outside. So he's done a lot of different stuff, and I think he's looked really good. I think I think he understands what we're trying to get done in the wide zone, and he's doing he's been outstanding in terms of his discipline and his tracks, and technically he's been really sound. So excited about how he looks.
And obviously you guys have historically moved him around the field a bunch, but was that when Clint came in, was that maybe an emphasis for him, was just kind of finding ways to create like matchups with him and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I think that's always been something that we've tried to do, with Alvin is try to put him in different positions and utilize his skill set. He's an outstanding route runner, and is a matchup issue, on linebackers, safeties, whatever the case may be. So we're going to try to utilize him in that way and put him in a lot of different spots.
Yeah, so there's a lot of creative stuff offensively today. As a defensive guy, what do you think when you see that stuff, when you're designing that stuff? How do you feel about the creativity of this offense?
Yeah, look, I think it's been really good. I mean, I don't think we've gone any 2 consecutive days where we've seen the same exact play. Now we've seen the same concepts, but they've all come off of some sort of different formation, different personnel grouping, different motion, fast motion, regular motion, all these different things that we're seeing is good to see from an offensive standpoint. I think our guys have been creative in what they are asking our guys to do, and I think our guys have been able to execute those plays. So it's one thing to say you want to be creative and do all these unique things, but you still have to be able to execute those plays. And so I think our offense has done a nice job of that. I think that's going to prepare ourselves defensively throughout the course of the season. We're seeing some things that, stress the defense, stress our techniques, stress our rules. And so when you see those things, then you have to be able to adjust. And that's it's been refreshing to see, in particular from a defensive coach's perspective.
Have you seen some things that maybe you haven't seen before, or variations on a theme?
I don't know that I've seen any plays that, I haven't seen at least on tape at some point in time before. Again, I think the uniqueness really is how do we format it? What's the personnel grouping that we're using? What formation are we running these things out of? What type of motions are we using to hide, what we're trying to do? So I think that's probably the biggest thing in terms of the creativity comes from not necessarily the ball plays as much as how you're getting to them.
Did you say that Jordan Mims is taking advantage of his opportunity right now?
Yeah.
It seems every time he's touching the ball.
Yeah, look, I think he's doing some really good things. He's a guy that's caught my eye. He's a guy that's run the ball effectively. I think he's done a nice job, in the receiving game. For the most part, he's done a pretty good job in protection. So, he's a guy that I think has improved a lot. And again, he'll be a guy that we're going to try to get a lot of work in the preseason and see where he's at.
Tell us why Shahid wasn't out of practice.
He's dealing with a little bit of hamstring tightness. I think it was a little bit more of a precautionary measure today, but so we took the day off today in terms of physically. We'll reevaluate him and see if we can't get him back out here tomorrow.
In the last 2 days, we've seen case some reps where you're going to have Carr running out at the side late. What's the benefit of doing it that way versus maybe telegraphing it with a heavy formation where the defense can kind of adjust?
I think anytime the offense moves, the defense has to adjust, right? And so, anytime you're making the defense have to think instead of just being able to put their cleats in the ground and line up and see it and react, I think is beneficial. So that's all part of the, creativity of some of the stuff we're doing offensively.
The one from Derek, the naked keeper, that was called, right? Or did he do that on his own?
Well, there's a read element that goes along with that play. It's pretty simple. I mean, if everybody runs down inside, just keep it and run around the edge. I mean, that was pretty easy offensively. But look, that's good to see because there's some things that we have to be able to coach off of defensively and how we have to be able to defend those plays. I don't anticipate that you're going to see a ton of, Derek Carr keeping the ball, on that play. But I think, look down there in that area of the field in particular, when you make the defense have to play 11 on 11, and the quarterback becomes a running threat, then I think that's really challenging for the defense.
They look like Rod Taylor's made a couple of good plays. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he's done some good things. I mean, he's a guy that came in, he was, kind of started off working with the threes, did some good things. The interception he had, early in camp, kind of, caught our eye. He's a guy that he's smart. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's usually in the right place. When he's had opportunities to make plays, he's been able to make the plays. So, I think he's a guy that's in the mix, and preseason will have a lot to do with who ends up making the squad and who's getting what kind of playing time.
Was today a rest day for Cam?
Today was a rest day for Cam. All right, thanks guys.